I hate the media so much right now. I really hate that they will use such blatant clickbait and directly lie in their articles just to get those tasty, tasty views. If you couldn't guess based on the title alone, a couple days ago, Rock Paper Shotgun made an article about Rimworld. To give you an idea of what this kind of article was and what they were trying to do with it, I can just tell you the title and you'll fully understand. How Rimworld's code defines strict gender roles. Yep. Hey, your first thought is probably the correct one. Now, in this article, the author looks at a mechanic that is the relationship mechanic in Rimworld. And let me start by describing what Rimworld is. It is a sci-fi, kind of fantasy-ish colony management / survival game that has a bit of an emphasis on sort of the AI creating a story mechanic so that it somewhat feels like it's continuing on, not that you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Random stuff will happen at random times. It tries to continue on a story without actually having a story. It sounds really weird. It's one of those kind of things that you have to look at a bit to fully grasp what I'm talking about. The game overall, first off, it's in alpha. Saying that, though, this game has more content than most $60 games. The mechanics are mostly tight. The UI is pretty nice. A bit sloppy here and there. Alpha. The updating has been very consistent. The dev, it's a one-man dev team by the way, has been adding new stuff to the game non-stop for, I believe it's been 2 or 3 years since he first released it on the market. And this is a game that is incredibly popular. It has one of the highest percent ratings on Steam, and that's it's a 96% positive for a game with over 5,000 reviews. That is almost unheard of. There's a few games that fall into that category, but it is exceedingly rare. So, because it is a very good game, and because it has been getting a lot more popular over the years, we gotta shit on it. Because that's how we get people to rage over our articles. I know, I'm part of the problem. I'm talking about this article. I'm giving them some form of attention. I'm basically endorsing their bad behavior. Trust me, I am fully aware of the stupidity of making this video in the first place because I'm giving them exactly what they want. Now, what happens is, in this article, they talk about a mechanic, the relationship mechanic. This is relatively new. It's only been in there for, I believe, 2 versions of the game. We're on Alpha 15 right now, and I believe this was introduced in either Alpha 12 or Alpha 13. So it's not been that long. It's been like 6 months at most. And in this, the author dissects the way this coding is done. And without saying the word sexist, says that this coding is sexist. Because it is done up in a way that isn't pure 50-50. There are some things different in it, and some ways that it more affects or benefits or is a negative towards one over the other. And that's sexist. Oh, and there's no bi men and no straight women. Okay, the no straight women part confuses me, but I digress. The most obvious lie I can see in that is that in that article they say this may well change. Now, if you do a quick search for the author's name, Tyron, he commented in that article and released several emails of him that were back and forth between him and the author. And he said this is stuff that was going to change, that was being developed for the Alpha 16 version that is going to hit in a couple weeks, a month. I'm not sure exactly how long. So for this author to say may well is outright bullshit. And the reason the author did this, and the reason there are no actual quotes from the developer in this article, and again, I'm going to quote this directly. Editor's note, the developer was contacted for interview as part of this article, but declined to take part unless we ceded editorial control over the publishing of that interview. We do not cede editorial control to developers or interview subjects, and so no interview took place. That is journalist code for what he was saying didn't fit our narrative, so we ignored it and pretended he didn't talk to us. Which kind of blows up in the face when said developer shows the emails. I am really pissed at this. And again, I will emphasize that I believe in fair and honest criticism of games. There was one part in this where they said, well, it's a game that's being sold right now, so we're talking about it as it is now rather than it will be in the future. Yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with that. That is perfectly legit. When you straight out lie about a system, though, or twist it so that it might as well be a lie, and then say, well, this might be changed in the future. No, it is going to be changed in the future. You have emails that confirm this. We're talking about how it is now, not how it might be later. And what you're talking about, by the way, is a very kind of slapdash system that the developer came up with. I believe it was 15 lines of code to test out the idea, and then he was going to update it once he figured out how to do it better. Which, again, is what's going to happen in the Alpha 16. So I guess you need to get this article out now while you still have the chance, huh? I will, and I know I've beaten this dead horse a million times at this point, but I will once again talk about how I have personally boycotted a game where the developer asked for people on Steam to downvote a review he didn't like. And this is a game that I wanted to buy, would have bought would have played. So if I take that as a piece of evidence, I have no issue with being against the game if they or the developer do something that is not right. I have no problem talking with that about that. I have no problem openly shouting it to the heavens. This is not that case. Not by a mile. This is, and this is the part where I speculate, because I have no evidence of this, but this is how it feels. This is a one-man dev team. This is a game that is growing in popularity, that is almost universally loved, and this is a dev that is not one of the journalist clique's friends. How dare he make a game that people like while not being one of our friends? We must shit on it so our friends who can't code for shit, that can only make walking simulators, can get better sales. Because, to some degree, I think that this will impact sales. Not too much, but to a small degree. It pisses me off when even one sale of a game is lost due to lies like this. And this is how, a couple days ago, Rimworld got trending on Twitter. The sentiment of, I'm demanding a refund because of this, or this, I'm taking it off of my wish list because of this. Because the virtue signaling elite had to let it be known that they were out there to make sure that they looked like good people. It's times like this I'm really glad Gamergate happened. Because the widest majority of people saw this for what it was. Blatant clickbait lies. And it was mostly the virtue signaling elite that were the ones that were buying into this narrative. Unfortunately, I'm sure that there were still some people who knew nothing about this, who read this article and thought that this was 100% true. I'm pretty sure this has cost the game some sales. And that pisses me off. If this was valid criticism, honest, fair criticism, yeah, go for it. This was not. And there needs to be a way that the media gets punished for stuff like this. It's so annoying that it keeps happening over and over and over again. I'm just frustrated, if you couldn't tell. Anyway, this has been Math Machine just ranting about how media sites have no qualms about blatantly lying to try and sell a story. What a shock, right? Peace out.